most of the time you guys don't give a crap. Like you're at this point in your life where you're like, yeah, I don't care about that stuff anymore. And as a younger person, and I'm trying to get into that stage of my life of like, I don't care what people think about me. I'm just going to be me. How do I make sure that I am completely authentic?
Good day, fellow wanderers. Joseph here, and we're back to you with a new podcast this week with my friend from California. I know it seems so far away. She is somebody I met online. Then I met her in person back in Vegas, and we'll get to all that. But I would love to have one of my friends be introduced to you. Her name is Debbie Horrilleno or Il
Yeah.
Reno. Eno. Do you know Spanish, or do you just have a?
No, I just have a Spanish last name because my family's from the Philippines, so I'm actually a Filipina. We've got that Spanish heritage and took on this last name, Horrilleno. So yeah,
Say that again for everybody.
Horrilleno. There you go.
So
you got it, Joe.
anytime I see the double R and the N and the double L, I panic. Debbie, where are you at in California?
Yeah, so I'm in this city called Santa Ana in California. It's in Orange County. The closest, unless you fly here quite often, there's the John Wayne Airport. That's about 10 minutes from where I'm at. But the biggest landmark,
I've flown into that airport.
Oh, yeah?
My brother went to college in San Dimas.
Okay, so yeah, you're pretty familiar with the John Wayne Airport then.
No, I'm not at all familiar with it at all, but I've flown into it. It was one of my very first airplane rides ever, actually.
Okay.
And it comes up, I swear they like do a death drop into the John Wayne because they're coming and then they just go boom, like come off of the top of the mountains and just drop those planes straight to the ground.
Yeah, that's so true. Actually, I never realized that because I think I'm just so used to it. And I'm like, all right, I guess the pilots are just having a grand time out there trying to get us down to the tarmac faster. But I never realized that until you just said it. So I guess it's a bit of a scary ride if you've never flown a plane before or if you've never ridden a plane before, right?
It's prepping you for Disneyland, though.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say is that the landmark that most people know that's close by to me is Disneyland. I actually didn't grow up here in Santa Ana. I just moved here about 8 years ago with my now fiance, Kelly. We actually both grew up in an area called Bellflower and Cerritos. So that, unless you live here in Southern California, you've been there before, you probably have never heard of it, except that during COVID, they were doing these, I think it was like one of these newspapers or whatever, were doing these polls on how fun your city is. And there's a city that's kind of neighboring Cerritos, Bellflower. It's called Lakewood. And I guess it got voted the most boring place in California to live. Now I live in Santa Ana.
The funnest places in the world.
Yeah. Yeah. Some of the best Mexican food out here where you and I were just talking about. I mean, I think that now that you know how to say my name properly, it's time for you to come fly into the John Wayne Airport. We'll get some great tacos around here. Santa Ana is fantastic for Mexican food. There's a lot of great Asian places here too, if you like Vietnamese, Thai food as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
Love.
So I'll never move out of Southern California just because of that diversity of food that we have here. And it's in such close proximity to like wherever I'm at, I can get different types of food. And I think you and I are probably the same way when we're talking about immersion and learning about different cultures, getting immersed into their language as well.
Yeah.
The best way for me to do that and to learn that is by the food, right? So I will never leave here because the food.
When you come up to Wisconsin, Debbie, I will immerse you into our different types of food and it's all based on the crock pot size.
Okay.
You know, all of the crock pot has the cheese whiz dip in it with the mashed up hamburger that you dip your tortilla chip in. And then you have the bigger crock pots will have the mushy spaghetti with meatballs that were made 6 years ago that were refrozen. And then you'll have a tuna dish casserole and more of the shallow crock pot. It's really a journey through the foods here in small town Wisconsin.
Yeah,
It's great.
that sounds like some pretty good like hangover food.
That's why they have that food at the potluck at church on Sundays.
Yeah.
You just explained my childhood to me in one sentence. Why we started eating that food back in the day.
Oh my God.
The thing you guys maybe don't know about Debbie is that she is the business development manager for the Globus Family of Brands.
Mm-hmm.
And I bet you would all want to know what the Globus Family of Brands is one of my only tour and river cruise suppliers I use.
Yeah.
And you're not my business development manager. You are just my far off friend that I wish you were my business development manager. So tell me how that relates to your travel.
Yeah. So my territory that I take care of, so all the travel advisors and agencies within the Southern California area and the entire state of Arizona belong to me. And I'm very proud and I love being able to take care of my advisors. Before I started working in the travel industry, so I started as a travel advisor. While I was still in college, I started working at a travel agency here in Orange County. I started out as the executive assistant to the president and the owner. So I know a lot about.
I have one of those also.
Yeah.
I have an executive. He's just right over there off camera.
Is it a furry? Is he furry and great? Oh, those are my favorite.
I got a producer here. I got a marketing director. Got a lot of people here in this.
I'm going to need photos, bios. We're going to have to do some meet and greets, maybe during the pod.
Hey, get my website working on that.
Yeah.
You guys work on that for me? Please put that up online.
Thank you. Clear up your schedules, you guys. I'd like to meet you. But before that, I think the farthest that I've ever gone before coming into the industry was probably San Diego, and Redding, California, because I had some really good friends of mine who were up there. And that was probably the extent of where I was going. And so now that I'm with the Globus Family of Brands and I'm having to take care of all of these wonderful travel advisor partners, I do travel quite a bit. Love San Diego. If your pod listeners have never been to San Diego, I think it's one of the most beautiful cities here in Southern California. I think of all of the cities that I've been to in California, San Diego is probably one of my favorites. That and Long Beach. Have you been to Long Beach before?
Yeah. They all kind of blend in together with me with all the beaches there. There's just a lot of people and a lot of sand.
Yes.
And a lot of Ron John surf shops.
Surf shops. Have you gotten like your swag from a Ron John surf shop?
No. Nice I literally spent all my money on taco stands when I go to California.
Oh my gosh. Okay,
so one time I was there, me and my friends and my daughter actually were there. So it was two buddies and my daughter. She was a senior in high school. I think we got 7 taco stands in one day or something like that. Like we just went all over. And we ended it with, get this, probably one of the best tacos ever. Jack in the Box. Yeah. Best taco place in the world. Jack in the Box.
I was thinking in my head, I was like, he better not say like Taco Bell or something. Now you said
no, that's our delicacies up here for tacos. No, Jack in the Box, deep fried tacos. We ended it that with that, but we had a lot of other great little tacos.
Taco places that you went to.
When you leave Southern Cal or kind of for jobs, like what kind of places do you like to go?
I need to go out to the Philippines more often. So my mom actually used to work for Philippine Airlines, and then when she moved here, she started working for United Airlines. So when I was younger, every single year during the summer, so our summer months like June through August, my mom would fly with me or fly me to the Philippines. We'd go to Manila and then go down to Davao City, where she's from. And I'd spend the summer or a good amount of the summer with my grandma. And so we're talking about language and learning new languages. So I'll teach you a word. Grandmother in Tagalog is
Grandmother.
Lola. Yeah, grandmother or grandma
Grandmother.
in
I'm pretty good at
Tagalog.
that. Grandmother.
Mother.
Am I doing it right?
Yeah, there you go.
Grandmother. Thank you
Yes,
so much for
good.
teaching me that.
That was so good, Joe. It's like naturally you knew it already. Wow. So good. But in Tagalog, for everyone else who wants to actually learn Tagalog, and like Joe here, who's sticking with the English version of it, it's Lola. So it is sort of it's like like the name Lola. Yeah, Lola. So Lola is grandmother in Tagalog, and then you have Lolo, Lolo, which is grandfather. Oh, you got it. You're catching on. You're catching on.
Where are you off to next?
I think the most exciting place that I'm going to this year will probably be Vail. Have you been to Vail before in Colorado?
Yes.
Yeah.
Winter.
Okay, I've never been. Is it amazing?
It really is. Are you going to ski too, or just be there?
Oh God, no! No one wants to see me on skis.
Okay. Well, get on some skis and just go up the chairlift to the top, and then look off the backside, like Vail and Keystone. All those there are just like. It's worth learning how to ski just to stand up for a little bit, just to get on the other side of the mountain too, and just be in complete silence.
Okay, that sounds wonderful.
But actual Vail town, like the area, was really cool. It's everything you would think it would be. It does live up to the hype of that.
Okay, all right.
Are you doing a destination wedding?
No, we're not. We're doing it in this place called Julian, California. It's like east of San Diego, like northeast of San Diego. It's this like little town in the mountains where I guess apples and apple pie is the thing of Julian. So when I go there next week to take my engagement photos, I will be trying some of that Julian pie, because everyone that I've met in San Diego who has asked about my wedding and I tell them that it's in Julian, they're always like, oh my gosh, have you tried their pie?
The apple pie.
No, I know. I haven't tried it yet. So we're going to go ahead and try that. But yeah, we're super excited. Getting married in November. So it's going to be nice, chilly kind of weather. It'll get a little darker sooner, sooner in the day.
Yeah.
So it'll be, I'm really excited. And it's a long time coming. So.
Yeah, you've been together for a while.
Yeah, we have been together for a while. So Kelly and I actually met in high school. So we're kind of like high school sweethearts, if you if you want to call it that. But
I met in grade school with my wife. So. Yeah. And we're hitting 30 years this year.
Oh my gosh! Wait,
I'm that old.
When? No, you guys are. So you met 30 years ago. So you met when you were like 5.
10, 12, something like that.
10, 12. Oh my goodness. Yeah. So were you guys like in the same class?
Nope. Was separate towns.
Separate towns.
Yeah. Yeah. Is this you're turning this interview around?
Yes, I am, because I want to know about that. How do you tend to 12-year-olds? So basically like pre-teens prior to. Because I'm assuming you guys didn't have like cell phones and stuff back then. Did you guys like change numbers?
No, we never really communicated much back then. I mean, when we were younger, it wasn't until high school. Then I wrote a lot of letters.
Oh my!
Yeah.
Wow.
And it was actually when I was in Jamaica on a missions trip. We were like building stuff and overlooking Mo Bay, and that I was writing letters to her, and she was like one of the only ones that wrote back. So I was like, oh, I guess she's the one. Pretty,
She was over. She
yeah, I'm
was
like,
one of the
I'm
old
16. I'm like, you got to get my act together here. Got to figure
Yeah.
out what's going on here. And so she wrote me nice letters.
Oh, okay. So, but I don't, maybe other people who are listening kind of caught on that little tidbit that you just said there. You said she was one of the only ones that wrote back to you. So does that mean
Yes.
that you were just writing letters to different?
Well, I don't want to throw all the other people around because some of them are still my friends on Facebook, and they're beautiful people. They have beautiful
Yeah.
lives, but yeah, no,
Okay.
they didn't write back.
You didn't need names. So moving
You're gonna
on.
not have it. You are having a destination wedding though to the Apple Land.
Yeah, I guess so. That's why I had to think about it a little bit. I was like, okay, yeah, I guess
Not in
we
the
are.
class. You're in the travel biz, so that means usually that means like you're going to Europe, or you're going to Cancun, or you're going somewhere. That's why I think honestly, destination weddings are kind of becoming a big deal because it's like these people have traveled together over the years, and it's like, oh, hey, next year who's getting married? That's why these
Right.
late 20, early 30-year-olds are having destination weddings. And everybody's going, well, I can't believe people do that. And you're like, well, they
Yeah.
just travel every year. It's just they kind of pick who's going to get married next year. It's fun.
Yeah, I know. So for my friend group, I'm really excited about it because so I just turned 30 back in December. So all of us are sort of in that sweet spot of late 20s to, getting into our 30s. And that's the deal, is like these are our best friends, and we're coming together like, hey, every single year we have to take a trip together, you know? And so doing destination weddings, like you already know the 5 or 8 people for sure that are going to be there. And if anyone else wants to show up, then great. And if they don't, then great.
So let's talk about travel. You're in the travel business and just working with travel agents and travelers, and you provide, 1,000 different tours over the world.
Yeah,
are you up to, is Globus up that high?
500. Yeah. So over 5. So it's like 5 right now. It's 543, I think, is the count. And we're increasing that. But yeah, we're in over 70 countries, 6 of the 7 continents, with over 540 vacations. So that's inclusive of our river cruises that we're doing now too, which is growing. So
every one of them has a nuance that could be put onto it. And that's why you're over 1,000. You're just not counting them properly.
Yeah.
All of them have add-ons. You can do special things. There are different dates. They can be private. They can be tour groups. They can be,
You're so right.
What I'm trying to say, you have a product that is extensive.
Yes.
And people all over the world, that they're boots on the ground, like working these areas and really bringing people close to the action.
As a company, I think we're trying to we're revamping things, right? How do we make land tours something that a younger traveler, or I should just say today's traveler, not even, it has nothing to do with the age, but has everything to do with who is the traveler now and what are they looking for, and what are the innovative things that we're doing to make sure that we're keeping things lively for them and interesting. And it really comes to the immersion and what we're putting in front of our guests, right? There's things like local favorites, where we're taking clients to places that they probably have never heard of before, unless they did the extensive research, right? And found those places. Well, we have the experts in that area telling us this is where you need to take your clients. There's not as many crowds there. This is where the locals go, and this is where you're going to get a lot of that history and of the culture as well. So that's what I love about Globus.
Love everything you guys do, especially the river cruising, which I had a chance of going on Avalon river cruising. Well, now we're into 2024. It was the end of 2022. We were there.
Oh my God.
And I honestly was like, this is going to be lame. Going from Paris out to Normandy, it's really short. It's like, why is this even 9 days? Why isn't this just 2? Isn't the point just to get from one point to the next? And wow, was my mind blown of just the experience of river cruising in Europe and experiencing these different towns. And like, we would stop at 3 towns in a day sometimes. We'd wake up at one, do a little excursion, and we'd mosey on down the road, or the river while we're eating
Yeah.
lunch, and then end up at another one, and we go do some excursions and go shopping and go things, and then get back to the ship, and then by nighttime you're in the third one and hanging out in the village square at 11 p.m. at night.
Yes.
It was just a mind-boggling, amazing experience.
I'm interested to know before you went on the cruise, you were thinking, oh my gosh, this is going to be so boring. What about river cruising was making you think that way? Was it past experiences of,
I
I
had
know.
zero experiences. I mean, we grew up by the Mississippi, so part of it was
Okay.
like, why would anybody go on the Mississippi on a river cruise? Like, why would so that type of thing? Why would you want to go to these small little towns? Well, if you're not from the area, it really is the best way of doing it.
Yes.
You would probably love a Mississippi River cruise, and I'd be like, why would you want to stop in Dubuque, Iowa? And there's probably French people are the same way. Like, why is anybody stopping in this town? And so part of it was that, and just also thinking, there's a lot of old people probably on here.
Yeah.
And the reality is, yes, it does skew a little bit older, but those are people that are very active and they want to get on adventures. They want to see things. And for the most part, those older people I found out were way faster and way more adventurous than I was, and wanted to get out and see things. So it really is. I'm excited. Even next year, I have some young 25-year-olds that have booked a trip, 2 couples, and we're trying to get more. It's a 10-day cruise down to Amsterdam and then into Luxembourg and then back into Basel.
Oh my! That's
and and they're like totally excited, for it. But they're also like, we don't need the top room. Like, we'll save $4,000 or $2,000 or whatever it is, and we'll go to the
deluxe
level,
room.
The deluxe room, which has just the window, not a balcony. Because they're like, we're going to be in with friends and we're going to be up in the lounge. We're going to having a good time, and just enjoying each other. So like it's kind of a fun, mindset now that people have. Like, we still want to experience these things. We don't need the penthouse suite.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to save some money here, but also, again, it's not a cheap trip. So we're laying it out to go so we can do some of these excursions, do some other things. So super excited about. And I think we're finding more younger people too that are like, we're fine hanging out with older people. You're seeing that on, the Alaskan cruises.
Yeah.
It's so generational.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. I think it's, to your point, it's just the mindset of the travelers, right? We were talking earlier about it. I don't really think it has anything to do with age anymore. It just has to do with what are our values as travelers. And when you find like-minded people or like-minded travelers, they're always going to be fun to hang out with, right? So, and yes, river cruising right now is still skewing a little bit older. I think that we have clients that are still within their 70s that are still traveling with us, and it's because river cruising is the only way of travel that really takes you through a country.
Yeah.
You are literal steps away from whatever city, town you want to be in. You can get off the ship. There's no security. It takes you as quickly as it takes you to scan your key card to make sure that we know that you're going away. You're off the ship already, right? And you're in there exploring places like Budapest, Amsterdam, Vienna. And then smaller places like Dürnstein, Luxembourg, right? So I think that the idea is and I think this goes for everyone in the travel industry, is like, what do our clients value? Who are they? And river cruising, I think, hits a lot of marks for a lot of people. They just don't know about it yet, or they haven't heard. They're not working maybe with their travel advisor yet, like who you were not a believer before and now you are, and now it's like one of the coolest things. It's just like me. I mean, I was thinking it was going to be so boring. I'm an ocean cruiser at heart, but when I was going on my familiarization trip with Avalon when I first started here, I was like, oh my God, this is going to be so boring. Like, when I was an advisor, I know what kind of clients are going on the river cruises, and I just don't think I'm going to have a good time at all. I was so surprised. It
Yeah.
is my favorite way of traveling now. And I think Avalon just does such an incredible job with the inclusions. I mean, yes, the price point, it's a higher price point than a lot of us are used to, but there's so many valuable things that are already included, all of your meals, your drinks during meal times, but the things that we love, which are the excursions, having those already included with the
Yes.
3 different styles, the classic, the active, the discovery. So if you want to go hiking, biking, you can, or if you want to do painting classes or wine tours in a cave, those are the things that Avalon is investing in, because we know that those are the experiences that our
Yeah.
travelers are wanting.
To me, I'm not even a wine drinker, and I became a wine drinker on that cruise because I was
Yeah.
like, every meal, I wanted to be back at the ship for mealtime. Like
Mm-hmm.
nobody wants to be back on the ship at mealtime or when you're in the city, you
Yeah.
know. Like, you want to be back because I'm like, I don't know what the sommelier is going to bring around for wine today,
Uh-huh.
and if I don't get it today, we might not ever see that wine again.
Yeah.
Just so you experience like the taste of France as you're going down the river. Food was over the top. Your rooms are over the top. And then it's just the matter of the people there, and it's up to you. Like, I absolutely loved coming for breakfast every morning, walking down, and I would know where I'm going to kind of sit with my friends, but I would do the walk around
Uh-huh.
and say hi to that old couple that's there. Like, maybe didn't remember their names, but they know me. You get to know people, like, oh, you
Yeah.
guys doing good? Did you have a fun time yesterday? Awesome. And I mean, I love that kind of, that experience. And so, I mean, to me, river cruising, I think should be a 20 to 30-year-old game. You got a jet here soon. I wanted to know what it's like being working as a woman in the industry. Is
That's a
that, do you
great
see anything
question.
with that being and not even necessarily a woman? I'm actually going to bring age back into it. You're a
Okay.
younger woman in the industry with older ladies that have been in it forever.
Yes.
And so there's a little bit of maybe not even a good old boys club. There might be a good old ladies club in the industry, and you're kind of
Yeah.
breaking in as a younger entrepreneur into this travel supplier industry. What's your take on that?
Well, that's a great question. It's something that I think about quite a bit, actually. Yeah, I do think that the travel industry isn't an exception with the old boys club, right? There's still definitely an old boys club. I think that the industry has a lot more women that are involved in it, especially in the travel advisor side. What we're seeing now with companies like Avalon, where we have Pam Hoffy's the president of Avalon Waterways, more women that are getting into these
Yeah.
leadership roles, and I'm all for that. That was actually one of the reasons why I decided to come and work with Globus Family of Brands, is because we have a high percentage of our leadership are women. And that means a lot to me as a young woman, to be with other women, and not just women. It has to do more with, are these women who are supportive of other women as well.
Yeah.
That is what I find. That is the culture that we have here in Globus Family of Brands, which is incredible. But yeah, being a younger person, I think that I have kind of an old soul. I love hanging out with people who are older than me. Even when I was younger, I was always
That's why
hanging
you
out
hung out with me in Vegas. Like, oh, she wants to hang out with me.
I love hanging out with older people. I mean, or people who are
You can say it. I'm old.
Yeah, I relate more to my older peers, because they have, most of the time, you guys don't give a crap. Like, you're at this point in your life where you're like, yeah, I don't care about that stuff anymore. And as a younger person, and I'm trying to get into that stage of my life of like, I don't care what people think about me. I'm just going to be me. How do I make sure that I am completely authentic?
Yeah.
Right. And so, not to say that you guys usually have it all figured out, but there's a lot that I can learn, and you guys are just way more fun. In my opinion,
Right.
you are. And I think
A lot of
that's
it,
why
again,
you
with
get
with age, you have it. Like not that we've arrived. 'Cause I don't feel like I've even arrived. I'm always trying to figure out what I'm doing next.
right.
But also like I'm okay with going, let's talk about you. Let's have this be about you. Or you want to know more about me? Like you ask me questions. A
Yes.
50-year-old isn't going to ask me questions. The 30-year-old, like you did on this interview, you were asking me questions. You're not supposed to do
Yeah.
that, but that to me that's what's supposed to be. That's supposed to be a conversation, and you're seeing that a lot more with a little bit people in their 50s and 60s just going, man. Part of it is we never got the baton passed to us because the
Yeah.
70-year-olds are still in charge.
Yes.
And I think we realize it's never going to get passed to us. It's
Yeah.
going to skip a generation. Joseph will never be the CEO of, but Debbie will. So how can I influence Debbie, or how can I be in your life so that someday when you become the CEO, I'm going to be 70, you're going to be 50, and you might remember me.
Yeah.
And a slight nod and a wink my way
Yeah.
is all I need, to go like, hey, and I'm looking and going, man, I gave to that person, and now they have arrived, quote unquote. Not that we
Yeah.
ever arrive again, but I think you're seeing that more. And maybe it's the Gen X part of us just going like, screw the establishment. We don't need the establishment. And we
Mhm.
still don't, but we still know that it has to happen. And we'd love for
Yeah.
you to run it.
Yeah, well, that means a lot to me, Joe. And when and if I do become the CEO of anything, yes, I will always
Just a wink.
remember you. There's no way,
Just a
yeah,
wink.
just to wink your way. Now, I will say though, I think that your generation, in my eyes, was probably the first generation that really became aware, right? So more aware of like, okay, well, how am I doing as a person? And how can I affect the people around me? Like I know that
Yeah.
you're a life coach as well, and I just think that those types of conversations are the ones that I'm most interested in because I'm always thinking about that. And I think that, in my generation, there's definitely millennials that are also thinking, okay, well, how are my actions? What are the consequences of my actions, whether they're good or they're bad? And you guys are really the first generation that I was able to have those types of conversations with, where it's like,
Yeah.
oh, wow, yeah, like, what is that? What is going on? What could I be doing? Like, I don't actually get a lot of backlash or no's in the industry. I think I'm very blessed in that.
Yeah.
But I know that that's not everyone's experience, but that's my own. And I'm very blessed to be surrounded by people who see me and want to help me, like you, and I want to help
Yeah.
you too. And I think that's also the difference.
The main thing with a lot of this is, I mean, and you're only a token woman leader or a token, whatever, if you
Mm,
don't produce. And part of that
right.
is the reason why you're getting people not with no backlash is because you produce. You actually do something.
Yeah.
And you mentioned Pam Hoffey, who was the president of Avalon. Like she actually does stuff. She just
Yeah.
didn't get this job because she was the only mildly qualified woman that
Right.
was, available. And oh my God, we got to put a token woman in. Like,
Right.
no. And again, I think we're moving towards that nowadays too, with just equality and getting people in. Like, now, yes, it's great she's a woman or an African American or whatever, fill in whatever.
Yeah.
But it's like you're only token if you don't produce. So
Yeah.
like you have to produce, and like that's what's really cool in our industry right now is seeing we have a lot of women that are presidents of cruise lines.
Yep.
A lot.
Yep.
I'm almost more than men, and we're all getting there.
Yeah.
High level, and you just going. But the reality is, they're not. Women has nothing to do with it. They're getting shit done, and
Yeah.
they're making stuff happen, and they're
Yeah.
also very nice, and they're personable, and the such. So it's great to see that. Well, anything else you wanted to share before you head off into your next amazing adventure?
I want to thank you for letting me come on here and share and just have this conversation. This was a lot of fun. This is like a great way to start a Monday. to be
This
honest.
is why I love doing these in the morning with people, because you leave it and people are like, wow, that was way funner than you just thought you were going to talk business. You're on your normal podcast, or
Yeah.
your normal webinars that you guys do. Webinars, putting
Yeah,
out the same
exactly. Oh my
stuff.
gosh.
But the reality is we're in a people business, and it's about people, and it's always good to know people. And that's why I love sharing my friends with the rest of my friends out there. And so the 6 people that listen to my podcast are going to get to know you better,
Yes.
Debbie.
Well, to the 6 people that are Joe's Potters, I love you already, and I can't wait to come back and have another conversation with Joe so that you can listen to us talk
Sweet.
about the industry that we love so much.
Maybe post wedding we'll have some how that apple pie went, and how the wedding went.
Yes.
Best of luck on that, and you and Kelly, and have an amazing marriage. And remember, the wedding's only one day. Your marriage is a lifetime. So focus on the marriage, and don't put a lot of stake in the wedding.
All right. Thanks. That's great advice. Thanks, Joe.
All right. See ya.
Thanks, my friend. Take care.